Today I'm going to show you why using mind maps is going to revolutionize the way you evaluate speeches, and why it may be the only speech evaluation technique you'll ever need, making your evaluations well-structured, on target, and laser-focused. But first, you might be asking, just what is a mind map? Mind maps are a graphical way to record and present information. Well, why bother? When you do not use mind maps, when you write notes in the conventional way, you're having to record information very linearly. You string together a bunch of letters to make a word, you chain together words to make a sentence, you chain together sentences to make a paragraph, and so on. When you read it back, you need to process it the same way, sequentially, letter by letter, word by word, sentence by sentence, paragraph by paragraph. That's not the way our brain naturally works, so it is very inefficient. Our brain likes to link together information based on all kinds of relationships. Mind maps closely parallel the way our brain really works, linking together information by whatever relationships make sense to you. At the central hub of the mind map is the main idea, the main topic, the major theme of the map. Everything else relates back to that. In this example, the main idea is some of the many uses for mind maps. Radiating out from that hub, like the spokes on a wagon wheel, are subtopics. Primary things that somehow relate to that central topic. They can be whatever makes sense to you. In this example, some of the uses of mind maps are for meetings, for problems, for planning, presentations, education, and for learning. Those subtopics can have their own subtopics radiating out from them, and they can have their own subtopics, and so on. You can also add emphasis to your map in a lot of ways. You can use color, like blue for meetings, green for problems. You can use different fonts, different sizes. You can use pictures. You can number things that have to happen sequentially. You can use relationship arrows between targets. Whatever makes sense to you. Also, you're probably not going to be using complete sentences. Use the bare minimum information needed to express your point. Usually just one or two words or a brief phrase or a picture. So mind maps tend to be much more concise, impactful, and efficient than written text. So how do you use mind maps for speech evaluation? I'll share an example to illustrate. At my Keller Communicators Toastmasters Club, I was evaluating a member presenting speech number 3, Get to the Point, from the Toastmasters Competent Communication Speech Manual. So I took out a blank sheet of paper and I made that speech assignment the central node of my mind map. One of her goals was to have both a general and a specific purpose. I reasoned that for her to meet that goal, I needed to be able to figure out what those purposes were. So I added that to the mind map. What's her purpose generally? What is it specifically? She also had the goal of reinforcing those purposes through her opening her body and her conclusion. So I added that goal to the mind map. She had the goals of projecting conviction and sincerity and also controlling nervousness. So I added that to the mind map. Finally, she had the goal of minimizing her use of notes. So I added that to the map. At this point, her speech had not even started yet, and I had a detailed map of exactly what I needed to focus on during the evaluation, what I needed to observe, what I needed to take notes about, what I needed to talk about in my oral evaluation. During her speech, I hung additional subtopics off these subnodes to add comments and remarks about what I wanted to cover in my evaluation. When her speech was finished, my mind map looked like this. When I presented her evaluation, I just went around the world, covering all the outermost nodes in the mind map. My evaluation went something like this. Delia presented speech number 3, Get to the Point. One of her goals was to have a general and a specific purpose, and I feel she met that goal. As best I could tell, her general purpose was to show respect for the American flag. Her specific purpose was twofold. First, to create the need for us to show respect, and secondly, to teach us how to show respect. She had the goal of reinforcing those purposes in her opening, her body, and her conclusion, and I thought she did that wonderfully. She opened with a mini story about the flag and how it proclaimed liberty. I found that to be very poetic and very picturesque. Then she transitioned to a history of the flag, which for me created a deep sense of reverence, of respect for this incredible American icon. She told us about how owning the flag was a privilege, but one that we take for granted. We'll burn it, we desecrate it, we decorate with it. That left me feeling like we really do not show respect for the flag. That left me feeling like I really didn't know how to show respect from the flag, which was great because she immediately followed that up with a series of do's and don'ts. Don't wrap the flag around the tree. Don't decorate with it. Don't let it become torn or worn. Do wear an American flag pin. Do show the flag from sunrise to sunset. Do fold it properly. I love the way she closed. I thought she did a great job of personalizing it when she said treat the flag as an old friend. I wouldn't spit on an old friend. I wouldn't set my friend on fire. I wouldn't sew my friend to the butt of my blue jeans. I would treat my friend with respect, with reverence, with honor. Isn't that how we should treat the American flag? So clearly she reinforced her purposes throughout her entire presentation. She also had the goal of projecting sincerity and conviction. For me, that really came out in the tone of her voice. I detected a slight tremble, and that could have been nervousness, but I don't think so. I think it was passion, it was excitement for her topic. When it comes to controlling nervousness, frankly, I did not detect any. Now again, maybe that tremble in her voice was nervousness, but I don't think so. I think she was just really excited about what she was talking about. Finally, she had the goal of striving to not use notes, and in general I thought she met that goal well. She started out great. She wasn't using notes at all. But she hit a little speed bump. There was a point just a few minutes into her speech where she seemed to lose her place. She had to look down at her notes and study them for a few seconds. I'm sure it seemed like an eternity to her, but realistically it was maybe 5 seconds, possibly 10. Once she figured out where she was and where she needed to go, she looked back up, reestablished eye contact, and got back on a roll. For the rest of the presentation, she did not use notes at all. She kept her momentum up. It was great. And with regard to that speed bump, maybe she could have rehearsed a little bit more to do a better job of memorizing her speech, to get more familiar with it. And next time I think that could help her. Overall, it was a great speech. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you, Delia. I'm looking forward to your next one. Did you notice how the mind map orchestrated my entire evaluation? I just hit the outer points, point by point by point, and that was the flow of my evaluation, just going around the world. It worked beautifully. I find mind maps are incredibly powerful, not just for speech evaluation. I also use them for writing speeches, for brainstorming ideas, for taking notes. I use them for meetings, planning, managing the meetings, recording minutes of the meetings. I use them for managing my projects, planning projects, managing projects, tracking progress in projects. I manage my workflow using mind maps. I've put software on my computer that can draw mind maps, and I use it for several purposes. I have a centralized dashboard I call Life Central that manages everything I do on my computer. The MindMaps software has hyperlinks to other documents in Excel, Word, PowerPoint, PDF, you name it. I have hyperlinks to media, video, audio, pictures. I have links to the tools I use, so by clicking on the hyperlink I can start that tool up. I've got links to other websites. I have links to other related mind maps. I have links that can interact with Outlook tasks, appointments, contacts, notes. Sometimes I'll embed RSS information feeds from various news sources or blogs. Mind maps have revolutionized the way I operate my computer. I also use mind maps for a whole lot of other purposes, and I'm constantly finding new uses for them. If you'd like more information, I've got some blogs about mind mapping on my Profound Paradigms website. Also, if you do a Google search for mind maps, you'll turn up a lot of tremendous resources. And finally, there's some very good books about mind mapping. I recommend those by Tony Buzan and also by Joyce Wyckoff. Tremendous resources on how to get up to speed on mind maps. But I think you'll find them very simple and easy to work with. That's how you use MindMaps for speech evaluation. Now I've got a challenge to you. I want you to go out and try mind mapping your next speech evaluation and let me know how it went. Just leave me a comment on this blog to give me feedback on how well you did or did not like this video, your experience with mind maps and other speech evaluation methods, and also if there's anything else you want to learn about, let me know. Again, I encourage you to try using mind maps for your next speech evaluation. Try it. I think you'll love it.